3 days from now, the man who was once the most hated person on reality television is going to appear on an actual ballot for mayor of Los Angeles. Not as a joke, not as a publicity stunt, not as a bit for a podcast. Spencer Pratt, the villain of The Hills, the guy who manipulated his way through 6 seasons of MTV drama, the man who spent $100,000 on healing crystals and went broke doing it, is polling at 22% in the LA mayoral primary. He's in second place. He's within striking distance of forcing a runoff against the incumbent mayor. And the primary is on June 2nd. That's Monday. This is actually happening. If you had told anyone in 2007 that the guy who faked drama with Lauren Conrad and convinced Heidi Montag to get 10 plastic surgeries in one day would one day be a legitimate political candidate in America's second largest city, they would have had you committed. But here we are. And the craziest part isn't that Spencer Pratt is running for mayor. It's that he might actually have a shot. Let's rewind to January 7, 2026. That was the 1-year anniversary of the Palisades fire, the devastating wildfire that tore through Los Angeles in January 2025 and destroyed over 16,000 structures, including Spencer and Heidi Montag's family home in Pacific Palisades. Their entire house burned to the ground. Everything they owned was gone. Spencer posted a photo on Instagram of his son Gunner's bed, which had burned into the shape of a heart. He wrote, "The one positive sign I saw as our house burned down was our son's bed burned in the shape of a heart, a sign of how much love was in this house." It was one of the most human moments Spencer Pratt had ever shared publicly, and it was the moment that changed everything. On that anniversary, Spencer showed up at the They Let Us Burn rally in Pacific Palisades Village. About 1,000 demonstrators gathered to demand accountability for what they called a total breakdown in prevention, precaution, and leadership. The crowd was furious. A year after the fires, fewer than 12 structures had been fully rebuilt. Residents were still displaced. Insurance claims were still being fought. And Mayor Karen Bass, who had been overseas when the fires started, was still in office, still making excuses, and still pointing to statistics that the people who lost their homes didn't believe. Spencer took the microphone, and he announced he was running for mayor. "Let me be clear, this isn't just a campaign. This is a mission," he told the crowd, "and we are going to expose the system. We are going into every dark corner of LA politics and disinfecting this city with our light. And when we are done, LA is going to be camera ready again." The crowd erupted. Senator Rick Scott from Florida shared the clip on X and endorsed him that same day, writing that Spencer cares deeply about his community. The campaign was live, the website was up, the filing paperwork was signed, and the man who once made a living being hated on MTV was now asking the people of Los Angeles to trust him with their city. The initial reaction was exactly what you'd expect. People laughed. Late-night hosts made jokes. Political commentators dismissed him as a celebrity vanity candidate. The comparisons to Trump's 2015 escalator ride were immediate and constant. But then, something unexpected happened. People actually started listening. Spencer went on the All In podcast and laid out an 8-year plan for Los Angeles covering wildfire accountability, homelessness, corruption, and city infrastructure. He went on Joe Rogan's podcast and Rogan told him on air, "I'd vote for you." He went on CNBC's Squawk on the Street and called the city's homelessness numbers completely fabricated. He went on Fox News and accused the city's leadership of criminal negligence. He did NBC News. He did TMZ. He did every outlet that would have him. And at every stop, he said the same thing: "I never wanted to be mayor. I don't want to be in politics. I want to be back in my house with my family." The polling backed him up in a way nobody anticipated. A TMZ commissioned poll showed Spencer as Karen Bass's top rival. A CNBC report from May 28th, 3 days ago, confirmed he was polling at roughly 22%, just behind Bass in the nonpartisan primary. The race that was supposed to be a formality for the incumbent suddenly became a genuine contest. Time magazine published a feature titled "Spencer Pratt is running Trump's playbook and Trump approves," noting that the MAGAverse had rallied behind him as a West Coast counterpoint to Zohran Mamdani in New York. He went viral in a Batman cape. He went viral swinging a lightsaber. He turned every interview into content, and every piece of content into a campaign ad. The reality TV instincts that made him famous were now making him politically dangerous. The celebrity endorsements started rolling in. Paris Hilton publicly supported him. Kristen Cavallari backed him. Billy Bush championed his candidacy on Fox News, calling him a genuine disruptor who was shaking California's political landscape. But the endorsements weren't one-sided. Hollywood was split. Some celebrities rallied behind Bass. Others stayed silent, not wanting to be associated with either side. The divide was real, and it was playing out on social media in real time. Pratt supporters versus Bass defenders, fire victims versus political establishment, reality TV fans versus people who couldn't believe this was actually happening. Spencer's platform is surprisingly specific for a man with no political experience. He's running on zero homeless encampments, a crackdown on crime, complete wildfire preparedness overhaul, and what he calls a streamlined chain of command that empowers first responders, cuts out middlemen, and gets resources to the front lines without delay. He's accused Bass of forming committees instead of taking action. He's accused the city of mishandling over $100 million in fire relief funds. And he's positioned himself not as a Republican or a Democrat, but as a nonpartisan outsider who is too angry to play nice and too stubborn to back down. He confirmed he's a registered Republican the day after announcing his candidacy. He told People magazine he won't change it now just to check a different box, and that the LA mayoral race is technically nonpartisan. He told CNBC, "I don't do national politics. I don't do party politics. I do a nonpartisan race." Whether that distinction holds up in a city that voted overwhelmingly Democratic in every recent election is the central question of his campaign. Los Angeles hasn't had a Republican mayor since Richard Riordan left office in 2001. Spencer would need massive crossover appeal to win, but in a city where the fires displaced tens of thousands of people and the rebuilding has been agonizingly slow, anger doesn't check party registration before it votes. The backstory makes all of this even more surreal. Spencer Pratt rose to fame in 2007 on MTV's The Hills as the manipulative boyfriend of Heidi Montag. He was designed to be hated. He played the villain so well that audiences genuinely despised him. He feuded with Lauren Conrad. He isolated Heidi from her friends. He encouraged Heidi to get 10 cosmetic procedures in a single day, a decision that nearly killed her, and that she has spoken about with deep regret. He spent lavishly during the peak of his fame, reportedly blowing through millions on crystals, cars, and lifestyle expenses. When The Hills ended, he was broke. Publicly, humiliatingly broke. He and Heidi were living with his parents. The money was gone. The fame was fading. And the public had zero sympathy for a man who had spent years being intentionally unlikable. But then something shifted. Spencer reinvented himself on TikTok during the pandemic, becoming a surprisingly likable content creator who posted about crystals, cooking, and his family life with Heidi and their two sons, Gunnar and Riker. He was self-deprecating. He was funny. He acknowledged his past behavior. He leaned into the villain reputation, but softened it with genuine warmth. By the time the fires hit in January 2025, Spencer had already rebuilt his public image from reality TV villain to relatable family man. The fire didn't just destroy his house, it gave him a cause. And the cause gave him a platform that was bigger than anything MTV ever provided. The primary is Monday, June 2nd. If no candidate gets over 50%, which is virtually certain in a field of 20 candidates, the top two advance to a November general election. If Spencer Pratt finishes second to Karen Bass, Los Angeles will spend 5 months deciding whether to re-elect their incumbent mayor or hand the keys to a man who was once famous for being the worst boyfriend on cable television. It sounds insane. It is insane. But so was a reality TV star becoming president in 2016. And we all know how that turned out. Spencer Pratt told CNBC 3 days ago, "I only got into the race because nobody else was going to run. I had to step up for my community and for Los Angeles." Whether you believe him or not, whether you think he's genuine or performing, whether you see a concerned citizen or a fame chaser with a new angle, one thing is undeniable. The villain of The Hills is on the ballot. The primary is in 3 days. And for the first time in his life, Spencer Pratt isn't playing a character. He's asking people to trust him with something real. Drop a comment and let us know, would you vote for Spencer Pratt? Like, subscribe, and we'll see you in the next one.